Hey guys, I'm Shay and welcome to my cave. So with it being the end of February, I thought that I would share the books that I read this month with you guys and my thoughts on them and stuff. So let's get started. So the first book that I read this month was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and I have to say this book was freaking awesome. I don't know how long it took me to read it, I think just a couple days. I put up a review actually at the beginning of this month, so I'll link that down below. But yeah, this is a book about a boy who, it's kind of dystopian, futuristic-ish. It's set in like almost 40 years from now, and it's basically set in a world where virtual reality is a thing, and everybody kind of lives in this virtual world, and yeah, it's really cool, pretty depressing, but it's also really funny, and there's like, it's just like filled with all these 80s pop culture, music, video game, movie references, so yeah, I loved it. It was really cool. One of my favorites for the year, probably, even though it's still February, but yeah. The next book that I read was Eyes Like Stars by Lisa Manchev. This is the first book in the Théâtre Illuminata series. I always have trouble with that for some reason. Anyway, so this is about a girl who lives in a theater, and all of the actors in the theater are like the actual characters from plays, like from Shakespeare plays, from other plays, all like, and they're actually like the characters. So it was really cool. There's like a fantastical element to it. There's fairies, as you can see. There's like this air elemental guy. It was good. I did really like this one. This one was a great one. Although I could not get over the fact that like one of the main guys, his name was Ariel, and all I could think about when I was reading his parts, I could only picture the Little Mermaid, and that made it really weird for me. But other than that, this was a really great book. I don't remember if I gave it a 4 or a 5 out of 5 stars, but I really love this one, and this really, it set the bar for the second and third book. Anyway, so this book was great. I love this book. So I have a thing where I like to marathon series. I need to read them like one right after the other because I have a somewhat short attention span, so I'll forget if I don't read them pretty close together. So the third book that I read this month was the second book in the Théâtre Illuminata series. It was Perchance to Dream, and sadly this book just didn't do it for me. I loved the first one and how it was set in the theater. This one was set out in the world, and this one confused the crap out of me. Not only because sometimes just like the writing and just like the really quick scene changes, I guess, was just too fast and I would get whiplash and I just wouldn't know what was going on. But then also, I could not for the life of me figure out what time period this was set in. Because it's like the first book, and then even in this book, probably the third book, I don't know, I didn't read it, are like she dyes her hair and she wears like jeans and stuff. But then they go out into the world and they're wearing like these old English clothes, and they ride around in this carriage, like this horse-drawn carriage, and that's their transportation, and I was just so confused. I didn't know, I mean, obviously it has fairies and everything. It probably wasn't supposed to be set in our world necessarily, but it's like, have some consistency. Like, I just could not figure it out. So I didn't know if there was like technology in this world or like, I don't know. It was just confusing. I finished reading it and I just didn't want to go on to the third one. I wasn't a big fan of this one, and the ending was so confusing to me. I think I gave it like a 3.5, mostly because the writing was still really good. But yeah, I was pretty lost. Now that I think of it, I don't know if that was actually the next book that I read. I think that might have actually been after this book, and that is The Boundless by Kenneth Opel. This book is about a boy who takes a journey on the longest train in the world. It's like 7 miles long or something like that. And his dad had like a pretty big part in like building it or designing it or something. And so he's a pretty important guy. Anyway, so he witnesses a murder. So I have a review actually of this one up too. So I'll link that also below. I loved this book. This was another really great one. But yeah, I loved the writing. I loved how it like was really descriptive, but not like stupidly descriptive. It played out like a movie for me, which I like that. I like when that happens, when like you can read and you can almost like tune out what you're reading to where you can see it in your mind. And so that, it was really cool. I really liked that. So anyway, full review down below. Check it out. On to the next one. The next book is actually one that I didn't read. I listened to it, and I've never really been into audiobooks before, but my brother-in-law got me a subscription, I guess, or a 3-month free, or 3 months something rather for Audible, and that was really cool. So I thought I would, you know, use it, and so I got The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North. And this book is about a man who, once he dies, he keeps like living his life over again. And I thought that was a really cool concept. I did like listening to it. I was able to listen to it like on the train and in the car, and like when I was, I don't know, tired and didn't want to actually like read. But I think it was really long and drawn out. I think like at one point I thought that I was like halfway through the book and I still had like 10 hours left, and so I was just like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, he was explaining like every one of his lives, and I mean, that was cool. Like I said, it was a really clever idea, and I really liked the narrator too. He was really good. But I think I just started losing interest pretty fast. This one was hard for me to get all the way through. Maybe it would have been better if I had read it. Like, I think that might have been what my problem was, is that since this is my first audiobook experience, I guess, I think I don't know. Maybe I'm just more of a reader than a listener. But hey, I mean, it was free, it was a gift, so I might as well use it. I'm definitely gonna keep trying out audiobooks. I just haven't come across like a really great one yet. So I would give that book, I think, like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So the last book that I have completed this month, I just finished actually a couple days ago, and that is The Archived by Victoria Schwab. And this book was, oh, it was like mind-blowing amazingness. I loved it so much. I loved the story. I loved the writing. In this world, there is a library called the Archive, basically where dead people are stored, but they're not actually like the dead people's bodies. They're like flesh and bone copies of them, and they have like all their memories and all of everything that happened to them when they were alive. So these histories, is what they're called, are actually able to wake up and escape the archives, and so it is the main character's job to catch them and bring them back to the archive before they actually make it out into the real world. So yeah, this is the story about her. It was really cool. She's freaking awesome. This was another one of those books that like almost made me cry. Like, next to Ensnared, I think this is like the closest I've ever been to crying during a book, and I loved it. And I'm so excited to get the second one, and which I haven't yet, but I hope to soon. And yeah. So those are all the books that I completed during the month. I am currently reading 2 other ones, and I guess they're gonna have to count towards March, but I'm not gonna put them on my TBR just because I like choosing what books to read for on my TBR. These ones are just ones that I kind of picked up and decided to read since I still had a little bit of time left in the month. That way, if I did finish them, I could count them towards this month, but if I didn't, then it wasn't that big of a deal. So the first one that I started is Inked by Eric Smith, and I know this is just the black and white version of the cover, and it's really sad. Anyway, so this book is about a world where tattoos basically control your destiny, and the main character doesn't like that, and so he doesn't want that to happen, so he's trying to keep that from happening. And so I just started it a couple days ago, and I'm not very far into it, but I'm liking it so far. It's actually really different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more like Our World and like dystopian-esque, but it's actually more almost like high fantasy kind of book, which is cool. It's not like the first thing I would choose, but I like it so far, so I guess we'll see what happens with it. And then the other book that I'm currently reading is Dream Factory by Brad Barkley and Heather Hepler, and I'm actually pretty far into it. I'm over halfway through. I probably have like a fourth of it left. And like I said, I really like this book. It's really funny. Right when I started it, I was kind of like, it's okay. But as I'm like getting farther, it's funny. There are some heavy things in it that are dealt with in this, but it's kind of lighthearted. And I mean, it's about Disney World. It's about all the Disney World actors have gone on strike, and they had to hire like a bunch of teenagers, you know, be all the different characters and stuff. And so this follows 2 people, Ella, who plays Cinderella, and then Luke, who plays Dale of Chip and Dale. And it just follows their friendship and their experiences there with all the different people that they're working with and stuff, and it's really good. Like, I really like it. And it's funny, I actually dog-eared one place because I wanted to come back to it and show you guys, or read you guys something, I guess. So this is a part where Ella is like listing off mistakes that people make with visiting an amusement park. So it says, number 1, you should never wear any item of clothing that matches an item of clothing that another family member is wearing. And then the sentence after that is, no small children with identical Mickey Mouse t-shirts. So I went to Disneyland when I was like 6, I think, 5 or 6, with my grandparents and my sister and my brother, and what do you know, my grandma made us matching Mickey Mouse t-shirts and Mickey Mouse sweatshirts so we wouldn't get lost at the park. And I happen to have a picture, and I will show you right here, of us in our Mickey Mouse shirts. Yeah, so we were those people that they warn you about in this book, which I thought was really funny, and kind of, you know, it just made me like the book all the more, just because even though this is about Disney World and we went to Disneyland, I was still able to, you know, picture it pretty well in my mind, at least the rides and the characters and like the whole atmosphere of Disney. Like, I don't know, it's just really cool. Like, this book, I feel like this book looks like something that someone might just pass up at the library or something, like, oh, whatever, a bright pink book or whatever, you know, and they wouldn't take the time to necessarily look at it because, I mean, look at the cover, it's okay. I'm not like a big fan, especially since it's bright pink. I do not like bright pink. I'm sorry, but I don't like pink. Anyway, I feel like this could get passed over pretty easily. So let me just say, if you ever see this book, don't pass it over because it is so good. I love it and I'm excited to finish it, although at the same time I'm kind of sad to finish it. But yeah, so Dream Factory, you should definitely pick it up. This is me recommending a book to you. And it's not splintered, can you believe it? A book that's not splintered. So cherish this and believe that I am serious about it. Okay, so that is it for my February wrap-up. I hope you guys have a great night. I will see you next time. And yeah, bye! And so yeah, I'm like really self-conscious that I have lipstick on my teeth. I hope I don't. Uh-oh. On this train, and now the murderer is after him because he saw him, yeah. Where basically